What's up everybody, this is Ven, welcoming you to another MOC Spotlight where we take apart what you build. And for today's episode we'll be taking a look at Kulta, the Skull Samurai, created and posted to our message board by Mr. N. Now before we get started, let me remind you of my method of reviewing, which involves a point system that is based on 3 fundamental attributes: the overall appearance of the MOC, the build of the MOC itself, and the concept and ideas behind the MOC's creation. Each of these qualities will amount up to 10 points, leading up to a final score that will be determined at the end of the episode. And please remember that this is all based on my opinion. So, let's get this started. And of course, welcome back to the world of construction and big bionicle builds. And let this be a warm welcome, because what we have today looks incredible. I mean, there are a few kinks that I think could have been improved on right off the bat, but I mean, for now, let's just take a moment to appreciate all the cool little quirks this thing has, such as this unique style of aesthetic, like this sort of armored plating style that's all over the MOC, all the smooth surfaces and the complexity to it, touched up by a really nice looking color scheme consisting of gold, red, gunmetal, a little bit of silver, I think, and black. A good number of different colors when you really look hard at it, but they're balanced out pretty well. There's like a good sense of flow to it all, and it most definitely complements the whole samurai getup. And the figure itself seems to have some pretty natural proportions. The torso does seem a little bit long, but I think that's mostly just because of this little panel extending from the lower part of the body. One of many great details that this MOC has, especially on the torso. The torso has lots of really cool looking detailing. But as I mentioned earlier, there are a couple of quirks with the way that the MOC looks. For instance, the helmet horns do seem a little bit too long, but of course that may just be left up to personal preference. I personally think that they would look a little bit better if they were just a bit shorter, but I mean, it's whatever. We got bigger fish to fry, such as these open ball joints on the back. Like, come on, man. We're in 2017. And to be fair, it really isn't all that noticeable anyway. There's a lot of detail that was actually put into the back, which is really much appreciated because this looks great. It makes the figure look whole and complete. And I guess that's why these little open ball joints seem a little bit jarring to me. Another aspect of the MOC that I actually think works best in some areas and not so great in others would actually be the usage of system. And see, for the most part, I feel that the system actually helps the MOC. It really sells the aesthetic using some of these system pieces, giving it that smooth look to it all. But then in parts like the feet, it looks really odd. Like on the top of each foot, you got the gold armored plating that goes along pretty well with the rest of the MOC, but then the lower part of the feet look really blocky and just unnatural compared to the rest of the MOC. It doesn't really work here. And finally, just one little nitpick that I have for this MOC: these red spikes on the shoulders. They're a little bit tacky, they don't really seem necessary. That said, all the problems I've listed are pretty minimal. There's nothing that really hinders the MOC's appearance all too badly, and I had a harder time finding something wrong with the build. Because sure, it's completely custom, and there's some system used here, but the whole MOC actually looks pretty dang stable. Especially the torso. The torso looks so freaking solid, dude. And then of course the whole figure's articulated, you got bendable elbows and knees and all that. The only thing I really gotta say is that the elbows actually seem a little bit thin. Because see, the arms have really bulky proportions, and this is consistent up until you look at the elbows and just realize just how nimble they are compared to the rest of the arms. And not only do I see this as a concern in terms of posability, but it also just looks weird. But back to the good stuff, he's got posable fingers, his head can move around, and you could put like these little swords on the ends of his fingers, and it's like this claw weapon thing. Some good stuff. The only thing that this build is missing, really, is just some sort of built-in play function or whatever, but it feels pretty complete even without that. And in case you're wondering, well, why doesn't this samurai have a sword? All samurai should have a sword. He has a sword right here. And now I gotta say, I'm a big fan of the concept of this MOC, like transforming the character of Kulta, the skull grinder, into a skull samurai. Like, that right there is a cool idea, but then actually putting it into execution as well as this, you really do got something great here. He's got the right look, he still looks menacing and kind of villainous, It's a really creative reimagining of such a lackluster character, and that's inherently what makes it so interesting to me. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our final scores and wrap up this video now, shall we? In terms of appearance, this MOC receives a 9 out of 10. There are some small problems that I did find with this MOC, but aside from those, I'd say that the MOC is mostly perfect in almost every way. The design looks really cool, the aesthetics and the colors are on point, and all in all, it's a reimagining of the character that makes it look a lot more interesting to me. In terms of the build, this MOC receives a 9 out of 10. Aside from the elbows, the MOC looks completely solid, and I really do appreciate being able to say that this MOC looks complete. It could be touched up in the elbows and in some parts of the MOC to make it look better, but it still looks whole. It's a solid figure, and in terms of the concept, I gotta give this one a 9 out of 10 because I love the concept and I love its execution for the most part. There are some things that could be improved, but overall I really do like the inspiration and creativity put into the MOC's design. And finally, we are left with a final score that all adds up to a 27 out of 30. So great job to you and congratulations, Mr. N. That's a near perfect score for a near perfect MOC, in my opinion. I do hope to see more out of you. Please post more onto the message boards, and same with all the rest of you guys watching this video. Earn yourself a chance to become featured on the MOC Spotlight for your creativity by posting to our message boards at board.ttvchannel.com, where you are welcome to share your MOCs with our community down at the LEGO Creations category. And as always, I pick out MOCs depending on how creative and or interesting I find them to be, regardless of how small or complex or big they are. So I hope to see you guys there, and if not, I thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you all next time.